Are you an entrepreneur who is feeling like it's just a weight when we look at that blank canvas? I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and I'm here to help you break through that blank canvas fear. So what we find is that this connection between positive flow state feedback loops that I have really explored a lot in, and now I'm bringing in some other theoretical approaches like precognition positive flow states to these feedback loops. And so if they all kind of come together in a perfect storm, what we see is a funneling effect of being able to master our creative strengths and learn why it feels so heavy to break through. A lot of creatives and entrepreneurs really have this desire to break off the hamster wheel, to get out of those contrived states, but then they feel hindered and stuck because they don't have the structure that they need to be successful. And so combining these three avenues of neurological change really helps us to break through those barriers and find the flow state that will give us structure and success. So have you ever had moments where you're trying to kind of build this creative idea, whether you're trying to build a business, you're an artist and trying to find traction to be able to make money off your art and to kind of get out of the corporate game, and you just kind of feel like I get so into it, I get all the materials, I come up with the ideas, like I'm so jazzed, I'm ready to get all of this done, and I get into it, and then about a month or two into it, I'm just spent. And I don't want to do it anymore, and I don't see the purpose of it. And that can be for a lot of reasons, but our precognition and that high achieving anxious state is a big part of it. So stay tuned and learn more about how it all plays together. We start with this idea of precognition. In a couple videos a week or so ago, we talked about precognition. So go into the video description and go back and look at the precognition video. What we know is it's this kind of sixth sense, if you will. It's not really psychic, but it's being so in tune with who you are in your situation that there's these bumblings that kind of come up that remind us or that prepare us for what is to come. And there's a fine line between anxiety and precognition, especially social anxiety or performance anxiety and precognition. And we're going to talk more about that in a couple weeks, so subscribe, or in a couple of days, so subscribe and stay tuned. And so it's kind of this untapped superpower that precognition is. And so it may be seen as intuition or coincidence or even this deja vu moment. But really, it can be the brain's extraordinary pattern recognition abilities. And so as it finds patterns, or as it desires to find patterns, it's starting to do the scans, and it's creating these moments for us to be present. And when we have some anxious minds and we have these unstructured time blocks, what happens is it recognizes the patterns of our negative dynamic and our negative feedback loop. And so it puts us in, there's a feedback loop for depression and anxiety that says, I am not doing anything. I am not doing anything, so therefore I am depressed. I am not doing anything, so I must be afraid. And that feedback loop is what makes the blank canvas, that white Word document screen, feel so overwhelming. And it's like analysis paralysis times 10. It makes us feel like this is too much. There's too much to do. There's too much that can go on here. I don't know where to start. so I'm just not going to do anything. And then we're in the negative cycle, and we're cruising in the negative dynamic, and we're finding lack of capacity, low value, and low motivation to do better as a result. That's the output that comes in, because remember, no decision is a decision. So when you don't choose something because you're too overwhelmed, your output is lack of capacity, low motivation to do better, and implicit and explicit devaluing. It's a lot. And you are feeding the 2,200 feedback loops that are layering and putting that pressure of overwhelm on you, making it less likely for you to start engaging in something that is meaningful. And so when we look at these neurologic basis of what our brain is doing, what we see is it's not just about kind of feeling good in the process, but a specific neurological state where creativity flourishes. And so what that looks like is, we're going to find out in a little bit. So keep tuning in to this video. But what is happening when we are in the block is we're getting into the negative dynamic. It's pulling up all of our past. And so we can create a funnel system, if you will, that at the top of the funnel, or even at the top of the tornado, a funnel can be a directed and specific action that allows you the outputs that you need, and a variety of outputs. It can also be a tornado, up and down of chaos. And I talked last week about implicit messaging and implicit memory, and we talked about the feedback loops of performance and this perceived sense of control, and then jumping into the tornado. But it really causes, when we jump into the tornado, really causes a lot of destruction, and almost to the point of self-mutilation. Like, we're so in the chaos, we're actually kind of contriving harm to ourselves just to feel a sense of perceived control amongst all the chaos, causing us more shame and guilt, and then keeping us in a negative feedback loop. So let's look at that tornado and zoom in a little more and understand how the tornado and the funnel can work together to find success. So if you look at the tornado for this idea of the beginning is a downward spiral of disconnection, right? We tried perceived control. We tried to do the to-do list. It just felt overwhelming. Like I couldn't just do one thing on the to-do list. I had to do everything on the to-do list. I couldn't do it. I got into the negative cycle. Now I'm at the top of the tornado. I'm just spiraling with disconnection. I am wanting to get on my phone. I want to self-sabotage. All the scarcity mindset comes in. That fear of failure's there. Fear of success. Hello, I'm right here, your BFF. All of it is compounding on us. Those 2,200 feedback loops are weighing down on us. But when we can realize awareness, we can realize that that is what we do. Acceptance. We accept that that is a part of the creative process. That as we are trying to find a flow state, as we are trying to get into that emotional brain to pull some of the creatives out, as we're in an emotional brain, because stress is a part of being an entrepreneur and a successful high achiever. What we're doing is we're strategically using the temporal lobe, that emotional space. We are strategically engaging with it. And so when we are grounded, aware of what we need from it, we can contrive what we need out of it through intention setting. That will pull us into a positive feedback state, that I don't have to fear the emotions and the overwhelm. I can take small bites out of it, one step at a time, make those micro wins, and I can actually start feeling and seeing progress as a result. That's going to start leading us into this positive flow state. And what it will do is kick up the positive flow state to come back into awareness and intention. It'll give us a sense of presence, intimacy, agency, and connection. And it will be a momentous occasion that pulls us back into awareness and intention, allows us the positive feedback, creates and feeds the flow state, giving us more momentum to go in. Doesn't that sound amazing? And that creates a grounded state. It accesses our prefrontal lobe to give us authentic connection, executive development, self-awareness, and social intelligence. And as it's doing that, as we're mastering the inner game, we are now intentionally jumping into emotion to pull out the creatives in it, and then coming back out to utilize the mastered inner game. Those authentic connections, the social intelligence, and the self-awareness. And we're pulling on those executive functions through using some mapping techniques to achieve our optimal state of presence. Not performance, presence. Because what do? What pulls us the most often? What is the most basic feedback loop that it keeps coming back to no matter where you are in the 2200? It comes down to this one, the language of discipline, and why you can't perform, why you have all the ideas but not the products, why you know what to do and what you should and could be doing, but you're not activating it, is the language of discipline. The feedback loop that says I have shame and guilt, so I need to be more strict. And as I become more strict and I restrict my pleasure, my self-care, then I can focus on just performance. And as I focus on performance, I get to a point of burnout. I let go of all performance, and then I rot. I binge in my pleasure. I self-mutilate in the pleasure zone, in the non-performance zone. I start building the language of discipline, of how little control I have, how worthless and unvalued I am. And that sense of lack of control throws me back into the shame spiral where I will avoid until I need to overperform. That is what we do. So even when we are a high achiever, we are often only high achieving because we're spending as much time as possible in performance. And we will jump between all the feedback loops. I talked about that last week. Or we will rot. And then we will rot for a very long time until we are anxiously needing to do something to perform. And so, practical techniques to overcome the blank canvas paralysis. When you are in that and facing that freeze state on trying to start a new project, trying to get the interviews, trying to apply for jobs, trying to create something, build a business, and that freeze state comes on, what we want to do is understand that our response is everything, because what we're doing is we're reacting to the distress. So ground and realize I am having thoughts of self-sabotage. I'm having thoughts of fear, of failure or success. I am having thoughts of despair. And as we are sharing these thoughts, we can then look at it and see what we want to do with it and how we want to put this in our filter. And so the filter of the funnel is the precognition, where these are the thoughts that I have, and now I want to be mindfully aware of what these thoughts are. So I'm putting them in a bubble so I can deal with them. And then we're going to have filtered reactions, narrowing our awareness to be more clear on what these thoughts are. Does it serve me? And then there's a disruption point to recalibrate. And this disruption point is why coaching and therapy is so important. Because there's only so much you can do. Because that bubble comes with chains. That bubble gets pulled into a muddy bog. That bubble doesn't just float away as easily as you want it to. That bubble you want to bury, you're gonna bury it. And so coaching, my therapy, that's where we focus on, is as we build awareness and acceptance, as we learn the action, we find this disruption point that's so crucial that then pulls us into a flow state. And as we're in a flow state, we have secure connection, reinforced presence, clarity, and grounded action. And that will cause the momentum to find more disruption points, break through all 2,200 feedback loops without having to name them or go through them, but to understand that it doesn't matter that there are 2,200, 13 to the power of 3 feedback loops. It matters that there is a very contrived pattern that is happening. And that is my theory. That is my neuroscience-backed framework. And that is what I am teaching you in these coaching sessions and this therapy process. Is what are your main contributors to this, the awareness of what that piece is, how it relates to you, what the disruption point is, and then individualized plan to break through and find success. And if this is something that you want, and you want to break into the neurological reward system that actually keeps you reinforced into a positive feedback loop state, and to pull you out of all this negative dynamics that you are creating, then schedule an initial insight call. I give you free 15 minutes of my own personal time to help you understand what is going on and to tell you exactly how I will individually help change you to find a happier, healthier, more purpose-driven life. And the creation of this feels so different. It's not, right now you are chugging up the hill with a lot of pressure and dissonance and a lot of fear of what's at the top of that hill. You hear the cranking as you come up to the top of the hill. But that positive flow state with my neurological based framework, woo! That's what it feels like to be in a positive flow state. Your arms are up and you're just letting life happen because all the processes have been put in place. You've let go of all the outcomes and you're just along for the ride. It's a pretty amazing feeling. So go click in the video description, go schedule a free wellness insight and see how I can help you live a happier, healthier, more purpose-driven life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching my video today. If you like it, please share it with somebody. We are all stuck in these loops, and it's important for people to understand that you are not alone, that there's no shame in this game, and that this is a predictable behavior we expect because of how the brain works. And if you like the idea of knowing that you are part of the majority, not the minority, if you want to know more about the brain, how to help with social and emotional intelligence, how to understand how it is to calm down from being an anxious high achiever, then please subscribe and stay connected to my feed. I've got tons of videos that go through the neurological process of trying to retrain the brain for a response reaction and letting go of this 95% of decision making that is implicitly driven and reactionary. And for my couples out there, I'm really excited to click on the link right now and be able to get and sign up for, we're opening up this week, our couples master class. We have asynchronous learning, that is you going in on your own time with your partner, no diagnoses, no records, treatment plans, no notes, nothing. It's you and your partner learning the foundational key principles to what builds a happier and healthier self. And the whole intention, your 27 lessons broken down into little two-minute bites, is to write the next chapter in your love story. So go in, sign up, subscribe. I've got a lot more in store for you. So go in, sign up, subscribe. I've got a lot more in store for you.